to today's class. On today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to make a shirt pattern for ladies. So first, okay, I'm going to be drafting my pattern on this direction. So first you need your measurements, your shoulder measurements, and just your general body measurements for blouses. So I'm going to draft my line. So I'm going to use the upper edge of this pattern as my neckline. So I'll come down by 1 inch. I'm only drafting the line for the front. I'm not drafting the line for the back as well. So it's just the line for the front that I will be drafting. Okay, so you just come over, mark your neckline, then the chest line. We can use 6 inches as, okay, let's do 7 inches as a chest line. So we can do 7 inches as a chest line. So for us to get the high waist position is already measured. So we're using 17 as the high waist. So we also use 17 as the high waist on this point. Then the full length of the shirt is 24 inches. And we have a full length of 24 inches on this side as well. So for us to get the armhole is half of the high waist position. Half of high waist, that's 17 divided by 2, 8.5 plus 1 inch, because we don't want the armhole to be tight. So we're going to just do 9.5 inches. So this becomes our armhole line. So we're not really going to have a bust, under bust line and the rest of them. So we connect our chest line, and we also connect neckline, shoulder line, and we also connect the armhole line. We also go ahead and connect the high waist line. We now go ahead to connect the full length line. So let me just mark the bust position. That's 10.5 inches. So I'll just mark the bust position, 10.5 inches. So I'll connect it. So now that I'm done marking, I'll just label so that we can just take note of our point. So this is our neckline. So this is our shoulder. So this is our chest line. This is our armhole line. And this is our bust line. If you notice, there is no under bust on this pattern. This is our high waist. Then this is our full length. So these are our basic lines that we're going to be working with right now. Now that we're done drafting our lines, the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to mark out, we'll go ahead to mark out the overlap. So we're going to be using an overlap of 2.5 inches from this point. So this is like the edge of our front pattern. So we're going to be using 2.5 inches as the overlap. So mark it through all the way from the neckline to the full length, and possibly the hem if we have any hem at this stage. But at this stage I don't exactly like adding the hem. So this is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to label it 2.5. So you can see that. So now that we're done adding 2.5 inches, we're not going to mark any neck width. We'll still go ahead to mark our shoulder divided by 2. So our shoulder divided by 2 is 7. So that's 14 divided by 2, 7. Mark it. We can add our half-inch sewing allowance. So instead of marking just 7, we can have 7.5. That's if you're sure that your shoulder is 14. So half of the 14 is 7 plus extra half-inch sewing allowance. So you get to the chest line. Because it's a front piece, you're going to subtract half-inch from whatever you have here. So half of our chest is 6.5 plus sewing allowance, then you have 7. So come over here, the same 7 we have here, we still mark it here, then we'll mark the round bust. The round bust is 9. The round bust is 9. That's 36 divided by 4 to give us 9. So we're going to add an ease of 1 inch. Then we'll add a sewing allowance of 1 inch. Okay, so let's do it this way. We have here, we'll have shoulder divided by 2 plus 0.5. So on the chest line now, we have shoulder divided by 2 minus 0.5 plus 0.5. Okay, so here we also have shoulder divided by 2 minus 0.5 plus 0.5. So we just drag down our lines and connect. So in addition to dragging down our line, so here we still have round bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch is plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So you can now use your French curve or your bare hands to connect it like this. So the same thing you have on the armhole line, you also go ahead to mark it at the bust line. So when you get to the high waist measurement, you're going to put in round high waist divided by 4. If you want to have a dart here, you can put plus 1 inch dart allowance plus 1 inch ease, then plus 1 inch sewing allowance. The dart is totally optional. Okay, so the round high waist is 30, so that's 7.5 plus the dart allowance of 1 inch plus the ease of 1 inch plus sewing allowance of 1 inch. So thinking of it now, I'm thinking of actually removing the dart allowance, but then I'll just put it for the sake of learning. So we marked it. So our sewing allowance is here alongside our dart allowance. So the round hip, so when you get to the full length, you just put round hip divided by 4. So the round hip here is 10 inches. So sorry. So the round hip is 10 inches. Round hip divided by 4 is 10 inches. That's 40 divided by 4. That gives us 10 inches. And we just mark it. After marking it, you add 1 inch ease. You add 1 inch sewing allowance, and now you have this nice shape. I'm currently not working with a French curve, but I can still bring out my curves to life using the method I want to. So now that I'm done drafting the blouse, I'm going to draw in a curve here and then add the hem allowance. So this particular piece is the front piece pattern. So if you notice, there is no neck there's no neck slant right now, so this is just what we have. Okay, so we're ready to make alterations to the side of the front. So we can just, from this area, we can just go up by, say, 1 inch. We'll go up by 1 inch. So I'm going to use a different color of marker to get this. So we'll go up by just 1 inch. It's not compulsory you use 1 inch. I'm just doing this because I'm not having a French curve. So a French curve, with a French curve, you can make it easier, but if you don't have a French curve, you can just go ahead and do it this way. Then I'll just add half inch or 0.75 inches as my hem. So let me add 0.75 inches as my hem, since I still intend to weave it and then turn it. So I'm kind of leaving provision, I'm making provision for the sewing allowance too. That's weaving and sewing as well. So now that you're done curving the side, we'll cut out, we'll go ahead and cut it out. So we'll just go ahead and cut off this, edge of the fabric, edge of the pattern paper, cut it all the way around. So from this uppermost area, we'll come down by 1.5 inches. 1.5. We'll come down by 1.5 inches. Still come down by 1.5 inches. Connect. Use a ruler to connect it. So this direction is 1.5 inches. 1.5. So we're coming down by 1.5 inches so that we can cut through. So now that we've come down by 1.5 inches, we just go ahead to cut it off. The next thing we're going to do is that we're going to fold away this area. So these are 2.5 inch overlap, so we're going to fold it to this side because we want to use this front pattern as a template to draft the back piece. So after folding it away, you take the pattern over to the back piece. So we just make sure that whatever pattern paper we're using, we're going to have at least 3 inches upwards there. So in a case whereby we don't have that, we can change directions or change the pattern completely. So I'm going to change the pattern totally and get another. So now I have another pattern paper that is long enough to accommodate the extra 3 inches I want. So this is folded because our back piece is going to be on a fold. There is no special back zip shaping for our female shirts. So we just work with it like this. We'll trace out the rest of the body. The only place we're actually going to alter are the shoulder and then the chest line. So the chest line of the back, for the chest line of the back, we're going to have, instead of having shoulder divided by 2 minus half before we now add a half inch, we'll just have exactly our shoulder divided by 2 plus our half inch. So now I have 7.5 here. So apart from that, we'll just we'll add extra 3 inches to the shoulder. We'll add extra 3 inches to the shoulder, we'll add extra 3 inches to the shoulder, and then we'll add an extra 3 inches. We're starting from the slanted line, okay? So we just connect it, we'll connect it, then you take your metal rule, you just take your metal rule to connect. This is actually the original shoulder, so you connect it to the original shoulder, you connect it to this particular point, then we'll bring it out, we'll trace out all our lines, all our points. Nothing is changing, you're not adding extra ease to the back, you're not reducing anything, you're still going to have your basic measurements, and this is what we have. Okay, so this is our 3 inches, so that you don't get it wrong. 3 inches. So this is our 0.5 inches. So that's what we added, our 0.5 inches, and that is it. So we'll just go ahead and cut this out. So this pattern now that I just traced is the back pattern. So here is what the front pattern and the back piece pattern look like, and we're going to use the both of the patterns to derive the round neck of the shirt. Remember, we didn't do any round neck measurements, we didn't do any neck width, we didn't do any particular neck depth. Basically what we did was that we just drafted our pattern. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to take the front piece pattern, and we are going to fold away the 2.5 inch sewing allowance so that we can be able to still derive our our round neck properly by placing it on top of the back piece. So after you fold the 2.5 inch sewing allowance, you're going to bend the 3 inch. You see, it's now bigger, the back is bigger by 3 inches, so you're going to bend that 3 inches to touch the tip of the front shoulder. So if you want to enroll for any of my online courses, you can contact the number on the screen or click on the link in the description box to get the details on WhatsApp. You can get any of my pattern making books through the link in the description box below. At this point, we have successfully bent over the back to touch the front. So the next thing we're going to do is that we're going to measure our round neck, starting from the center front of the starting from the center front piece that we've already folded. So we said we're working with a round neck of 14. So what we'll do is 14 divided by 2, 7. So you're going to take your tape, which by the way should be very flexible. It shouldn't be stiff. So you're going to take your tape and you form a neck curve. So I always like my neck to be deeper in front. That's how it should be. So we'll form a neck curve, rounding off to 7 inches. So this is my 7 inches. So my 7 inches should land at the center back. That's the center back line. This is our center back line. So the 7 inches should just align. So that's why I'll have that line there. So we should just have our 7 inches stopping there. And then 0 should be in front. Whichever part you want to use it, it's still fine. So this is how you're going to place it and then dot it. I use dots so that I can connect later. So you have to dot the the main points, the main areas where you want your curve to be formed. Okay, so this is how it is. So after we've done that, we just use our free hand to connect the dots together. So I've successfully connected it together. So after successfully drawing your curve, you just hold your patterns together, and then you cut off the round neck. So this is how we do it. You make sure that your front is separate from your back so that you don't mess things up. So you just cut out the round neck like so. So after you cut, just cut through. So this is what we have that we've cut through. Okay. So now that we're done, we can comfortably separate. The masking tape I use is not something permanent, so we'll just take it off, and we can open up this one. So we still have this front piece like this with our excess, and then we still have our back piece. So this is how the back piece should look, and this is how the front piece should look after we're done cutting out our round neck pattern. So you can see it, you can see how lovely they both look. So at this stage, we're going to add sewing allowance to the shoulder, because we're going to join the shoulder together using a sewing allowance of 0.5. So add 0.5 inches to the shoulder. So that's going to serve as the shoulder seam. So we can still add 0.5 inches around the neck if you want to, but I usually don't add, and it still works out perfectly for me. So if you like this video, just give it a thumbs up. In the next video, I'm going to make a tutorial on how to draft the collar of the jackets. I'm going to teach you how to draft the collar fall, and then the collar slant of collar fall and collar stand of the shirts. So if you want to learn more on sewing techniques, pattern making, fashion business, subscribe to this channel and click on the notification bell so you can get notified whenever I post a new video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next training video.